So what happens when you try to blend the wisdom of America's founders with, the cutting edge of artificial intelligence? Well, that's the whole idea behind this new AI called George. And today, we're going to explore exactly what it is and what its creators say it can do. I mean, just think about it for a second. What if you could get advice on today's biggest problems? Not from some talking head on TV, but from an AI that's been trained to think like Washington or Jefferson or Adams. That's really the big question at the heart of this whole thing.
All right, so to really get our heads around this, here's what we're going to do. First, we'll look at what George AI actually is and what it's been fed, its digital library. Then we'll see how it handles a conversation. After that, we'll dig into its bigger mission and where this whole project is headed.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute basics. What exactly is this thing?
Well, at its heart, you can think of it as part librarian, part conversationalist. But here's the really crucial part. Its knowledge is completely walled off. It's been trained only on historical documents. The whole point is to get a perspective that is purely 100% grounded in that founding era, with no outside contamination. But why even do this? Well, according to its creators, the problem is that if you've ever tried to read the founders' original writings, you know they can be, pretty dense and tough to get through. So this AI is basically designed to be a translator, right? It's supposed to bridge that huge gap between 18th century language and the kinds of questions we have today. Now, for an AI like this to have any credibility, its knowledge base has to be absolutely massive. So let's take a peek inside its library and see what it's actually been fed. And the scale they're talking about is pretty mind-blowing. The creators claim that its collection of founding documents is the third largest in the entire world. The only two bigger are apparently the National Archives and the Library of Congress. That's some serious data. And we're not just talking about the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution here. No. The AI's knowledge base goes way deeper. We're talking personal letters, major legal texts from the time, like Blackstone's commentaries, thousands of sermons from that era, and even all the philosophical works that shaped how the founders thought in the first place. Okay, so to make sure its answers are actually authentic, the system is completely closed off. They describe it as having an electric fence around it, which is a great way to put it. It can't just go browse the internet. And this is really important because it's designed to stop what the tech world calls AI hallucinations. When an AI just makes stuff up. This fence is meant to ensure every single response comes straight from the source documents and nowhere else. All right, so that's the knowledge base. But what does it actually sound like to talk to this thing? Let's check out how a first encounter went down. So they don't start with an easy one. The first question they throw at the AI is a huge one. Basically, after getting it up to speed on modern America, they ask for its diagnosis. What's our single biggest problem? And where on earth do we even begin to fix it? And just as you'd expect, the AI starts its answer in this very formal 18th century style, perfectly matching its training data. It starts talking about my countrymen and the greatest danger to our republic. But then the user cuts in with a really simple request. And this is a really key moment in the demonstration. The request is simple. Hey, can you just dumb it down a bit, speak in today's language? This is a real test, right? Can the AI switch up its style just like that? And this really shows off the AI's two different modes. You've got the formal, historical voice, and then you've got this direct, modern one. And once it makes that switch, the diagnosis it gives is, it's incredibly blunt. Yeah, that much simpler answer really cuts to the chase. It gets right to the heart of what the AI, based on all its training, sees as the fundamental problem with America today. So when it starts speaking our language, the AI points to a whole list of problems that are more moral than political. It talks about a drift away from virtues like discipline and character. It mentions a growing skepticism of truth itself. It points to recklessness with debt and this tendency we have to blame each other instead of building things. And at the end of the day, it all boils down to one thing, a loss of self-control. So naturally, the solution it proposes isn't some new law or a 10-point plan from Washington. No. Instead, it puts the responsibility squarely on individuals and communities. The change it's talking about has to come from a cultural shift, not a political one. It has to happen, as it says, in every home, every school, every heart. But believe it or not, this whole Q&A thing is just the beginning. The project's ambition is way bigger than that. The real long-term vision here is to create personalized AI tutors. Yeah, the ultimate goal for George AI goes way beyond what it can do right now. The long-term plan is to turn it into a full-blown platform for personalized education, using AI to build a custom learning experience for basically anyone who wants one. And they give a pretty cool example of how this might work. So imagine you want to understand the Bill of Rights better. You could tell the AI, hey, I've got a 15-minute commute every day. The AI would then generate a custom audio lesson for you for each day. And after each lesson, it would quiz you to see what you actually understood, and then it would tweak the next day's lesson based on your answers. We're talking about a completely adaptive personal tutor in your pocket. So there's a roadmap for all this. Right now, it's pretty limited because the computing costs are just too high. The next step, they say, is to start offering those daily AI-generated audio lessons. But the big prize, the ultimate goal they're shooting for by 2026, is to let anyone have a direct, live, one-on-one conversation with the AI.
And all of this really leaves us with one massive question, doesn't it? The whole project is built on this fascinating idea that an AI, if you train it on the right historical and philosophical texts, can do more than just spit back facts. The goal is to actually teach virtues and principles. So the really profound question this whole thing raises is, can technology, can an artificial intelligence actually be a tool for moral education?